Yo, what is up? It is your boy Stephlyon, and guys, Alpha 4.3 is almost here, and we've got the Inside Star Citizen Alpha 4.3 patch report. Let's watch it, and let's see what they have to say about the fixes that are coming in and how confident they are about those fixes.
Let's talk about the elevator in the room. The elevators were mostly used in single-player, short-term environments like personal hangars. There would usually only be one user, and on the back end it would be stowed when you left and a fresh new freight elevator presented every single time you went back in. Now, while certainly not perfect, these tended to operate better than the ones out in the wilderness at, say, outposts, which, like many other things in the verse, tended to compound their issues over time the longer they were left to run. Now, of all the known issues with all the freight elevators in the game, most tend to revolve around simple things like it just doesn't work, and bigger problems.
How is that simple? Saying it just doesn't work isn't really simple because there's so many things that have to go wrong for it not to work. So it's kind of really complex why it's not working. Like, we gotta be real with it.
All my items have vanished and they're now lost forever, which itself can often tie into other issues with things like long-term persistence, which we're gonna have an SCL on with Benoit soon to discuss some new developments there. So if it's okay with you, we're gonna...
Okay, so they might actually listen to us and make some things not as persistent as they would intend them to be, because I feel like there's a few things like player ships being left in the wilderness, and even in landing zones and like armistice zones, there should be a level of persistence or a decay timer or some way to send players to be able to clean these up, because having these things out there persistent forever is going to compound those issues he's talking about. So that might be a thing that's on the table now.
Stick to freight elevators for the time being. I'm not really telling you anything that most active players don't already know. But it's important to note that these issues have been egregious enough that we'd already started a directed repair initiative months ago. It's just...
Wait, okay, no, that's not even a good thing. Okay. So they started months ago and it still wasn't ready, and they still went ahead with the event and with Alpha 4.2.1. If you started months ago, you should have at least known you weren't ready yet. Come on, guys.
Not completed yet. Obviously. Maybe super obviously.
Very much so.
As with transit, when working these issues, we try really hard to avoid what are known as hack fixes and focus instead on trying to uncover what is ultimately the root cause that will create all this instability underneath. And that process can often seem like absolutely nothing is happening for days or even weeks at a time. What happened with Race for Stanton? Well, sometimes changing how we use old features can be just as painful as adding a bunch of new ones. With a higher concurrency in daily active users than any patch this year, large numbers of players were driven from their private freight elevators and their personal hangars to the more troublesome ones out in the PU. Statistically rare states became common, and less common issues became fertilized and grew into bigger, unavoidable ones. Although
I understand what he's saying, and it's reasonable that there was some oversight, I still can't allow the major oversight of you guys knowing that there were some uncommon issues, some that could be detrimental, and then you still put out the event in the form that you did, pushing players to go to these places. Even though these issues are minimal and you knew they were there. So far, me testing the game, I've come to realize that if there's just like some little issues here and there, if those items or those things or those places are used more, there becomes a load of issues. Even things like the contested zones, even regular mission locations, there's a lot more problems when you are sent there more often. And if I notice as a new Star Citizen player, CIG, man, what's the catch? What's the excuse?
Many cases, this still took hundreds or even thousands of players using each freight elevator to manifest a single issue. Now, like with transit before it, or the infamous 30K issues of old, who remembers those? The issues you encounter in the PU are not always due to one or two bugs, but often dozens and dozens of underlying conditions beneath and around it, which throwing thousands and thousands of players at have helped us address more successfully than ever before. And since
we kind of taught that. We kind of taught that, hey, even though it's super bad, at least there's a lot of data that they can use and like fix things. So I guess that he's saying that, yeah, they got the data they needed.
And up until the recording of this video, we've identified the root causes of 44 individual freight elevator issues, with 20 of them being classified as blockers or critical, and almost all of them with causes only revealed by running thousands of people into them over and over and
as we
over
expected,
again throughout
as
this
we
event.
expected.
Now, in a phrase that should be very familiar to our software engineer enthusiasts out there, as we work to fix each issue we encountered, the resolution would often reveal another lying in wait underneath. This is a good thing, yeah?
Yeah,
we
in
did all
a
this
sense,
intentionally to force progress so we can finally fix freight elevators like we did 30K and are still doing with transit.
No, look, yeah, it's a good thing. I agree. It is a really good thing. But guys, after you say this, there is going to be a limit that people can allow you off the hook if elevators are still at an abysmal state. In the future, if anything like this happens again with elevators, like, did you really change anything? Because I'm feeling like what he's trying to say here is a lot of the issues are from really old coding bugs and the way they coded in the past that's kind of surfacing up now, because the system is the same system. They're just like updating it as they go along. So things from the past are affecting things in the present. So now when you tell us, oh, we found them and we've objectified them and we're fixing them, in the future, if we get to these levels of broken elevators again, it's going to be like CIG, man. CIG. So when you say these things, you need to put that into account, that in the future, the slack isn't going to be there to be given.
Now, while the project will definitely benefit from what happened long term with all the fixes and hardening that's been going in and that will continue to go in throughout Alpha 4.3 and beyond, the answer to what really happened isn't particularly exciting or salacious or any different than what I imagine most of you already suspected.
What's the answer?
We knew there'd be issues like there have been, but we underestimated how they'd compound on top of one another at higher stresses.
If I'm being boxed in the face every time I leave my house by some bully, and the bully's like, he's a little bit smaller than me, and I just don't want to fight back, so he's punching me in the face, I get bruised up. The bruise isn't that bad. Then let's say the bully's older brother decides one day, let's swap out. Let me go beat him up. Older brother, bigger than me, hits me in the face. I have a bigger bruise. One day, what if the bully, his brother, their cousins, their uncles, their aunties, all stand outside, punching me in the face? I might just die. I might just die. Like, think about it. We might just die. So you had to have known, you had to have foreseen that the further it kept going, the more people got involved, the worse it was going to get. And I feel like we might have, like, the smartest thing should have been to forego the event just this time.
It's been a sometimes frustrating process for everyone on both sides of the project.
Right.
But at the same time, we're super proud of the content and cadence we've achieved this year, and of the strides all of our teams are making to make this the most compelling year of Star Citizen gameplay yet.
It's been a good year, though.
For every single step backwards, I truly believe we're taking multiple strides forward, and the overall improvements to the experience along the way are what keep many of us motivated to continue going month after month. And with this new Onyx Facilities content drop being spread out over multiple releases, we're going to continue taking the time to improve existing experiences along the way.
Okay, that's reasonable.
To that end, as some of you probably have already heard, it was in the loading screen and whatnot, we're also going to go ahead and extend the Race for Stanton missions while we continue to work on freight elevators.
Jared, don't say this like, you can't say this like it's a big privilege. No, you had to do this. This is something that you had to do. The things that we had to face the last month have been bad, really bad. So this is something that you had to do. It isn't a big, wow, thank you CIG, or wow, we're so privileged to have this. This is the thing that you had to do. In my opinion, the next patch should have just only been about the Race for Stanton event. 4.3 should have been a continuation, like in its fullness. Nothing changed, just that, to give us a better experience at that same thing. Because when you actually get a chance like this, where things were so bad that you get to slow down, sometimes take it. Slow down and go at it again from a different angle with better optimization so things go smoother again. We're still in the building phase of the game. The game isn't 1.0 yet. You can still slow down, redo events. It doesn't matter. I don't think anyone will be pissed to come back and play the game at a working pace to do the Race for Stanton event. I don't think any of us would have been pissed.
It'll mean another month for folks to try to dethrone Hurston from the lead they hit so very early.
But
for you to...
They hit early because everywhere else was broken.
For us to continue beating on freight elevators about the head and neck with the proverbial pipe along the way. And all while you continue your exploration of ASD's latest malpractices. We've also made the decision to keep relatively quiet on Onyx facilities in ISC and beyond. We do this to better let you investigate and discover things for yourself.
Which is a good
thing. But that doesn't mean there isn't more that August has to offer. So let's go ahead and use our remaining time this week to explore the other aspects of this new release in Patch Report Alpha 4.3.
So this is the actual patch report now.
For several years
that
now,
was an apology,
we've had
right?
these ground storms with rain and snow and whatnot, and those are sticking around for a while yet. But in Alpha 4.2, we continued to get our feet wet with the first iteration of dynamic rain. And now, 2 months later in this release, we're continuing our climate campaign with the nascent version of dynamic snow, which leverages the same system to sleet the skies wherever the surrounding situation is sound. Sorry. It's a small thing to let us avoid rain falling on snowy areas, but these incipient iterations will continue to develop both in gameplay and in its sights and sounds over subsequent releases. And meanwhile, in things you can wear and hold, almost every patch this year has had a new armor and weapon.
That actually looks fire, I can't lie. That fit looks fire.
And in August, you'll find the new Specialist Light Stealth armor. There are a few different variations.
Why does that look like Gucci?
Including a neat ASD one, and this one from Wicklow.
That's fire.
It's an interesting visor, but it does beg the question, with the blast shield down, how can I even see? How am I supposed to fight? To which the answer is, I probably shouldn't quote Star Wars, because Disney has lawyers. We've also...
I was gonna ask, where are the lightsabers? I've never seen this. Has anyone else seen a lightsaber in this game? I haven't seen a lightsaber.
We got a new Volt weapon this month called the Zenith Sniper Rifle that, and let me read this text I have on the screen here from Zach, combines the raw punch of a charged sniper shot with the rapid fire precision of a marksman rifle. Which...
How is that fair?
Heck at all, Zach. Now, there are some notes here.
I can't lie. We're doing a little bit too much here with all these electricity weapons, and the fact that this thing is a freaking rapid fire sniper rifle. What?
About how loud it'll be and how important managing heat is, because if you don't, it becomes essentially inoperable, like me. And it's the latest in this year's line of Volt weapons, and
it
like
should
all
blow
the
up
others
in your
before
face.
it, you can be the judge if its advantages are worth the trade-offs. Also, hangar respawning returns. Now, it's a small thing, but the ability to spawn directly into your personal hangar and get back into the fray should be a welcome one for anyone that's played the game for a while.
It is, but there is so much empty and unused space in the hangar. I don't think it's going to be obscene or like crazy of an idea to have a little cabin inside your hangar that's either got a bed or a regeneration point. So it makes sense of why you're spawning in your hangar, you know, because the hospital is in the building. Like, we already have the respawn facilities in the building, at the stations, on the planet. So why couldn't they just extend that into the hangar for people? It would make sense, right?
Slowly becoming our first true homes in the verse. And this is yet another step in the right direction. Also another step in the right direction, spawning ground vehicles from the freight elevators, which is not coming in Alpha 4.3, but I've got a platform, and
why is it not coming?
Everybody wants it, Benoit, and we're gonna find time to prioritize it for the schedule.
That would actually be sick. That would save so much time.
Let's move on to virtual currencies. Now, this year we introduced Wicklow, the collector, and his emporium of esoteric effects. Not the actual name. And over the last couple months, we've seen vehicles new and old get added to his inventory as variants with unique paints and components.
I need this. I need it. I think I want to go get the sandworms and like kill them and fight an apex sandworm. But I also need a freaking F7, bro. I need an F7, so I need to do the Wicklow mission streams and just get my hands on that thing, because it would save me millions. Do you know how much millions it would save me? And I can finally get my C1. I have enough money to get the C1, but if I get a fighter ship, I can't get both, so I have to choose.
That's great. Or at least it was once we killed the RNG thing. Yay! But what about the various ship shops in the verse? Where's my Golem, the Fortune, the Guardians? Well, in Alpha 4.3, inventories are getting updated with many of the most recent ships that have been released. What this means is, while you can still pledge for ships to support the continuing development of Star Citizen, and you can still work for those fancy component variants of many with Wicklow, you should also be able to pursue the base versions of newer vehicles for AUEC, and in a more reasonable timetable.
And honestly, that's the one thing I will commend them on. The fact that they make it so easy to actually bypass having to spend any more money on the store. I find that a thing that's always going to be commendable. Whenever they speak about it, I'm going to commend them on that, because people say this game is pay to win, but there are so much things and so many things that you can get in the store. A lot of other games keep these things behind the paywall. Like, the only thing I really noticed like behind the paywall are the new blades that they added and like capital ships. Everything else you can get in game. Do you know how insane that is, guys? Crazy.
From now on, it's our way of saying, yeah, we'll be better at this going forward. And while we're talking about spaceships, starting back in May and continuing with each monthly patch after that, the Vehicle Experience team began the next wave of flight tuning adjustments for every ship in the verse, hitting most of the heavy and medium fighters and interceptor subclasses within. Now with Alpha 4.3, it's time for some light fighters to get their
right. So this one, the light fighters again.
Adjusting SCM and nav speeds to increase variation within the class, altering the linear and angular accelerations, adjusting health pools, and even swapping out some flight controller components.
The Hawk, man.
Now, there's a whole list
the
of
Hawk is going to be so strong.
Notes, but if you haven't flown your light fighter in a while, maybe give it a go this patch.
I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using my Mustang. I'm going to be using the Mustang a little bit more, and I'm going to be looking at the Hawk in Arena Commander, because that's going to be fire, man.
While we're talking about light fighters, what would a patch in 2025 be without brand?
Does that thing look like a wolf or a shark? Like, it's literally a shark.
New vehicles. And for August, we've got the long-awaited debut of the L-21 Wolf. It's sleek, it's slick, it's kind of like a cool spaceship Rorschach test. See, some people see a fancy hot rod, some people see a supermarine.
Did you hear that? Look, listen to the soundtrack they're using. Listen to the soundtrack. It's literally Star Wars. Listen.
We've got the long-awaited debut of the L-21 Wolf. It's sleek, it's slick, it's kind of like a cool spaceship Rorschach test. See, some people see a fancy hot rod, some people see a supermarine Spitfire, and some people like me see a Naboo Starfighter.
Yup.
But it's not.
Yeah, sure.
Disney. It's the newest light fighter from Cougar Intergalactic, a brand previously known for the Merlin and Archimedes. The L-21 Wolf will be flyable as soon as Alpha 4.3 releases. And lastly, let's go ahead and touch on this month's big content drop, the new Onyx facilities. Now, this is a big swing from our environment.
I do feel like they should have put this one back into the box until the next patch, or at least 4.3.1. Like, at least wait a little bit. I feel like there is so much that could have been done with the elevators that we did not need them to actually push this one through. This one could have waited just a little bit longer.
Level design, mission, sound, and every other team that's worked on them. And that's why I'm not going to say a whole lot. This is our first multi-part release of the year. So we'll open up that third and final wing eventually, and you'll find out what Dr. Yor and ASD has really been up to. It's more than just worm torture, I can promise you that.
It's human torture as well.
Ultimately, this month, like this year, will continue to see Star Citizen pushing its development into lots of new directions. Quite frankly, some are going to work better than others. Some are going to take us a bit to figure out. And some are going to be some of the best and most interesting content we've ever released. Align and Mine, Stormbreaker, Onyx facilities. I just want to shout out all the work everyone on Dev is doing to keep this year interesting and to continue improving the existing gameplay systems along the way. And then, of course, the continued engagement with the project from you, who are coming back month after month in record numbers to see where we're going next. And finally, if you are wondering why I'm at my desk, where I spend most of my day doing my other job behind the scenes that has little to do with ISC or SCL, there's this little thing called CitizenCon Direct coming up on October 11th. Right. And the spaceship is currently locked down for the next 8 weeks filming for that.
It's literally happening just before my birthday, like 2 days.
I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for listening to me yak about freight elevators for 5 minutes. I was
You
gonna
say
do a
yak,
joke
it's
here at
yak,
the end
my
where
boy.
I pretend to push a button and the elevator takes me down beneath my desk. But considering the work that we still have ahead of us in fixing them proper, it would probably go a little something like this. We're on it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
This last little segment here, I'll start it by saying, so far, since I started playing Star Citizen, I don't think there has been a point until this patch that we still are before they released 4.3. There was no point where I was frustrated or bored with Star Citizen. And the only time this whole year I've been playing the game that it happened was during this patch. Not because I was bored of playing the game, just because things weren't working. And when things aren't working, you spend 2 hours online, you get bored of trying and you just want to leave. Apart from that, I haven't been bored or frustrated, which means he isn't lying. This has possibly been the best year for Star Citizen. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm still early days here, but it hasn't been bad. The content has been flowing at a solid pace that's kept me entertained. But the problem is, when you have a chance like this to slow down, when something goes this wrong, where you can slow down to give yourself a little more time to fix things and smoothen things out, you don't need to rush into the next stage. You don't need to rush into the next thing we're gonna add with the next patch. You can stick on the same thing. It doesn't always have to be something new every single time, especially with a failure like 4.2.1. I feel like giving room for errors, room for more things to go wrong is going to be an issue because now you added a new location that a lot of people are going to want to go to, but they have to do that while in the same breath trying to finish the event. That's going to be splitting people's priorities and splitting people's minds and what they can do with their limited time. So I feel like it's a little bit like too much, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm waiting for that update, man. I've been waiting all day. Maybe it's gonna come out either later today or tomorrow. But yeah, I just hope it's not as bad. I hope it's not as bad, and I hope I see some elevator fixes because I feel like if there are some real and good fixes, people will be content. People will be happy again, and they won't be so mad. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like this reaction, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.